Well, welcome, friends. I am so excited that you're here to talk to me today or talk with me today about your human design. I want to let you guys know that human design has changed my life in so many ways. Before I discovered it, before I started working with it, I can definitely say I was working outside of my strategy. I'm a manifester and I was working like a generator. And I kept getting burned out, tired all the time. In 2016, I was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of breast cancer. Today, I'm really happy to say that I'm 100% cancer free. And I share this with you guys because when we are out of alignment with who we are, things just fall apart. Life gets hard. We can feel stuck. We can get tired. We can literally get sick. We can feel frustrated. We can feel bitter. Have you guys ever been there? Well, I will tell you, I looked very successful on the outside, but I didn't feel it on the inside. I was running a top 10 team in my direct selling organization. I was enjoying 5-star trips to places around the world, like fun places like Monte Carlo, Rome, Shanghai, so many fun places. And I was being asked to speak and teach to our sales force. And you can say I was doing really excellent work. However, there is a difference between working from excellence and working in your genius. And in your genius, you feel successful on the inside as well. And that is just way more rewarding than just looking successful on the outside. So, when we're in alignment with who we're born to be, life gets easy and we have more energy, we're healthier, we're happier, and we feel successful. We feel satisfaction, we feel peace, and who doesn't want more of that? So, today we're going to talk about your design, your type, your strategy. And I hope you guys all pulled a chart on yourselves. There's a free one on my website. And you may also want to pull one for each one of your family members as well to see how your strategy is different than their strategy. And this is life-changing as well, because when I understood my husband's chart and my kids' chart and their design, it really allowed for way better like relationships and communication. So today we're really just kind of tapping into that surface level, which is very powerful. However, there is so much more to you, like layers and layers to you. In fact, there are 7 billion, 7 billion with a B combinations in human design and gene keys. And there's about that many people on the planet. You are uniquely you. You're a one of a kind. So today we'll touch just kind of on that surface. And at the end, if you'd like to dig deeper, we'll talk about ways that you can do that as well. So I got to tell you guys, I'm already planning another free webinar next month to talk about your authority. I'm really passionate about helping people understand their type and their strategy, but I got to tell you, I'm super passionate about sharing authority with you. So authority is how you best make decisions. And I think for so many years, too many years, we've been taught to make decisions from our mind to kind of weigh out the pros and cons. And that just doesn't work for us. It actually just makes us more confused because our minds can get programmed, especially early on in our life from like 0 to 7. You're taking in the energy soup of the family that you're living with and you get programmed. And when you're making decisions from a faulty programming, it just doesn't work for you. So we've also been taught that we need to let our leaders or people who know us know better than we do how to make decisions, to make those decisions for us. And I got to tell you, what is right for you is not necessarily right for another person, and vice versa. What's right for others is not necessarily right for you. So it's vitally important that we take our power back, our sovereignty back. We are smart. We are so smart, and we're definitely wired to know what is right for us and what is not. It's literally inside of each one of us. So are you excited about that? I hope so, because human design is so empowering and you deserve to be free to make your own decisions, the decisions that are right for you. So one more thing before we start, my lovely assistant Chelsea is in the background. So if you do have questions, make sure you put them in the comments. She's going to be answering some of them as we go throughout today, and then we'll also have some time for some Q&A at the end. So let's start. What is human design and what is it not? Well, human design is not a belief system or a religion. It is, however, the science of differentiation. We are all different. And so what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. So the way you interact with others, the way you make decisions, the way you communicate, the way you work, all of these things are different in each one of us. And so when we understand our design, we really become empowered and life gets very easy. And first of all, you're really going to recognize it as I share this with you. You're going to really recognize yourself on a very visceral level. It's so interesting when I work with clients and I start sharing with them their design. They're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so right on. Can I tell you an instant where that shows up for me?" It's almost like you know that you know that you know this is you, but we pick up conditioning as we move throughout our lives and we start working the way kind of out of our alignment. We pick up conditioning from like well-meaning friends and parents and teachers and even society. We pick up conditioning everywhere. And let me just give you an example. I kind of shared this a little bit earlier, but I was working as a generator, and 70% of people are either generators or manifesting generators, and they kind of work similar. And that was why I kept getting burned out. That way of working doesn't work for me. I was burned out. And on top of that, I wasn't working in a way that was effective for me. I was working twice as hard for half the results. And who wants to do that? Not me. So it's also important to understand that what I'm sharing with you takes some time to integrate. So be nice to yourself and maybe just kind of play with some of these ideas and see how they work for you. Kind of experiment with them a little bit, kind of like a science project. Just take some of these ideas and over the next 3 weeks or so, really try and play with them and see if you can come into better alignment with your energy. So let's dive in. There are 5 types in human design, and each type has a different strategy. And strategy is how you do you to get the results you desire. So how you interact with others, how you start things, how you work. And it's wonderful to know and understand yourself, but it's equally wonderful to know and understand your significant relationships, like your spouse and your children. Oh my gosh, how I wish I would have known this when I was raising my kids. You guys, I literally prayed every day I would pray like, "God, please, would you just send me instructions for these kids?" Because we had 2 daughters. They were completely different from each other, and they were completely different from me and my husband. And I just didn't understand. I just didn't understand why they were not wired to be like me or like my husband. And the instructions came about 25 years too late, but they came and we have great relationships with our kids now. It's so nice to eventually know how to work with other people. So the 5 types. So the 5 types, there's generators. So generators make up 36% of the population. And then there's manifesting generators, and manifesting generators make up 32%. Projectors make up 22%. Manifestors make up 9%, and the rarest of all are our reflectors, and they make up less than 1% of the population. So I'm going to talk about generators first, but I do want to let you know that I call them Manny-gens, manifesting generators and generators are very similar, and a lot of people do want to lump them together. However, I think you're different enough that I'm going to separate you guys out and talk about you separately. So let's start with the generators, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to pull up a profile of a generator. This is what a generator looks like. So generators have this center right here, the center in red. This is called the sacral center. They are going to have this center activated. And they may or may not have their throat center activated. This particular generator does not. A lot of generators can have their throat center activated, but the difference between manifesting generators and generators is that manifesting generators have a channel, and these blue lines that are connecting your centers are channels, and they would have a channel that connects their sacral to their throat, but generators do not. And so that's the biggest difference between what it looks like on your profile. So let's talk about this sacral center. So this sacral center is like renewable energy for the generators and the manifesting generators. When they use their energy correctly throughout the day, they will go to bed at night and they'll like wake up with renewed energy in the morning. And so if you're a generator, manifesting generator, listen in closely, because there's some, if you're feeling tired and sluggish in the morning, there's some changes that you can make to make sure that you're using your energy correctly. So it's really important for you guys to use up all your energy before you go to bed, because if you don't, you'll go to bed and you won't sleep well, and you won't wake up that next morning with great energy. So generators, you guys are the natural doers. You have this energy to bring things to life, whether it be your own ideas or someone else's ideas. And you're really designed to be the experts. You're designed to be the experts, and you most likely enjoy learning through a step-by-step process. You take one step, and then you take the next step, and then you take the next step. And before you know it, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I've mastered this thing that I wanted to master. And that's really how you guys make things happen. So when you are lit up and excited about what you're doing, you have the capacity to like go, go, go. Like you are the energizer bunnies of the world. And your energy, when you have good energy, you're like lifting up the energy of all the people around you. And so it's important to do the things that light you up first. And this is so not selfish. So this is something we have to like clear out right now. It is not selfish to put yourself first. It's like kind of like putting the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on someone else. It's important for you to do the things that light you up first, because when you are lit up, you have more energy and you have this amazing magnetic like personality where more opportunities start coming your way when you are lit up by life. And so when you are personally satisfied and fulfilled, you can't help but light up the world around you. And that's way more than or important. Lighting up the world around you is way more important than just lighting up one other person. You have to be lit up first in order to do that. Hope that makes sense. You also have this open and inviting aura. So people are naturally attracted to you and they can sense your energy. And they also can sense that you have the ability to make things happen. And because of your open and inviting aura, people feel very comfortable asking you to do things for them. And so it's really, really important that you are only saying yes to the offers of helping other people when it lights you up. And if it doesn't light you up, it's really important for you to decline and say no. So what is it? What do I mean by light you up? What does that look like? So remember, you have the sacral center activated. So it's a gut response, you guys. So when somebody asks you to do something and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. And your gut or your body will literally rise up and go, I want to do that. Or if you don't have the energy for that and you don't want to do it, you will literally feel your gut or your body go, I don't want to do that. And it's very much in the moment. So if you don't get a gut response, this is important too. Like if you don't get a clear yes or a clear no, it just means it's not the right time to make that decision. And so it might be a no now, but not a no forever. So no, not now, not a no, not forever. Okay. So table that until your gut is telling you yes or no. So when you say yes to things that your gut is telling you no, you don't want to do that, Every time you do that, it's taking a little bit of your life force energy. And over time, that can really affect your health and it can really affect your life force energy. So if you are not waking up like excited every morning, it might be because you're saying yes to things that don't bring you satisfaction. And satisfaction is your go-to emotion. Every type has a go-to emotion. And for generators and manifesting generators, satisfaction, like you're satisfied with life. You are just enjoying your life. That is a really great indication that you're living in alignment with who you are. And the opposite of that is frustration. So if you're feeling frustrated by life, frustrated by what's going on in your life, that is just an indicator that you are out of alignment somewhere. And these emotions are not good or bad. They're actually just indicators. And so use it to kind of guide you on what you should be saying yes to and what you should be saying no to. And then when you overcommit by saying yes, when your gut is saying no, again, you're really depleting and draining your energy. And when that happens, you shut off the right opportunities and the right people coming your way. So when you are like living in frustration, it's like you're cutting off all the things that you want to have coming towards you, and you can spiral down into that frustration, and it can even lead to anger. And your natural energy is just like gone. You can be tired all the time. So be careful. Number one, don't say yes unless your gut is saying yes. That's a really good rule to follow for you guys. Now, your strategy as a generator is to wait to respond. So what does that mean? When generators are lit up by what they are doing, your energy is literally like a magnet, drawing people and opportunities to you. And your strategy is to wait for something to show up in your world. And that something could be like an idea that shows up that comes from a conversation that you had or a conversation that you overheard. It can be an idea that comes from a book or a podcast that you're listening to, or something that you see out there in the world. I had somebody just this last week say, I saw this billboard and it gave me this idea. And I'm like, that is so cool, because that's exactly how you guys are to operate. You see something and you respond to it. You see something and it lights up your gut, and then you can know it's yours to go for. So rather than initiating and trying to make things happen, like chasing after opportunities or feeling like you have to come up with all the ideas on your own. And so like if you have a problem, something that you need to resolve, instead of like going into your mind and trying to figure it out, just like table it until something comes to you where you go, oh, I know what I need to do about that. It seems so countercultural, but it really does work for you that way. You're meant to just open up your awareness and see what shows up for you. This takes a lot of trust. So the big lesson for you is really to trust that you are a magnet and things will show up for you. Trust the timing and trust that your gut response will lead you to the right things and away from the wrong things. So here's a few tips for generators before we move on to manifesting generators. Number one, use all your energy up every single day before you go to bed. Like, get it all out. It's way more important that you go to bed tired than it is that you go to bed at the same time every night. You don't necessarily need 8 hours of sleep. Like, if you're not tired till 1 o'clock and you have to get up at 6 in the morning, it's okay for you. Like, go to bed at 1 o'clock when you're tired. It's almost like you can renew your energy in less hours than anybody else. You can have renewed energy in a good 5 hours of sleep. You don't necessarily need 8 hours of sleep. Number two, if you get tired during the day, simply take a break and go do something fun. Something that lights you up, or something that like makes you excited, or I always say, get a playlist, like things that you like to do when you play. Get a playlist and go do something else rather than taking a nap, because your energy will actually come back when you take that little break and go do something fun. And it's way better for you to change gears, go do something else than it is for you to take a nap, because naps can like ruin your nighttime sleep. So you do kind of have to be really careful with those naps. I'm not saying you can't take them, but just maybe play with this a little bit, because in the taking the nap, it can really mess up your nighttime sleep. So go do something else instead. Number 3, recognize who and what is lighting you up. And this is so important for you guys, because again, remember, when you're lit up by what you are doing and the people in your life, you will have this amazing energy, this amazing health, amazing vitality, and you're like that magnet. Your go-to emotion, remember, is satisfaction. So go find those things that satisfy you. People, places, things, all the things. Number 4, get comfortable with saying no and setting boundaries for your energy. This is good for all of us. And I get it. We don't want to disappoint other people, but think of it like this. When you say yes to someone and your body is telling you no, number 1, it's hurting your health. So you do need to be careful, because you're giving away your life force energy, energy that you do not have. And when you're helping someone else, it's like, when your body is saying no, it's like you're taking a cocoon or a caterpillar out of a cocoon, because that person may have needed to figure it out on their own, or they may have needed to figure out a better way of doing something. So when you're saying yes to somebody who should be saying yes to themselves instead, it's like taking a caterpillar out of a cocoon. So think of it kind of like that. And then number 5, trust. Trust that you do not need to force things into existence. Simply find your flow by following the breadcrumbs of what lights you up, and the right things will find you, guys. So that is our generators. Mani-gens are next. So I'm going to pull up an example of a manifesting generator here. And here's the biggest difference. You can see that their sacral center is still filled in, and they will always have their throat center filled in as well. Generators may or may not have their throat center, but manifesting generators do. And there is a complete channel that connects, you can see that connects your sacral center to your throat. And it can be a channel, or it can be channels. And so it could be this channel right here running up the middle through the identity center. And so it doesn't need to go directly to the throat center like this one does. It can move through a different center as long as it's being connected to the throat. That is what makes a manifesting generator. So just like the generators, you guys have this renewable energy. You're designed to go, go, go like the Energizer Bunny and drop into bed when you're tired. However, you guys are way more multi-passionate than a generator is, meaning you're here to chase all the things that light you up, not just one thing, but all the things. And this too is very countercultural, because we are taught, or at least I was taught from a very early age, that you can't chase more than one rabbit and expect to catch either one. Not true for a manifesting generator. You're literally here to chase all the rabbits that light you up. And the more rabbits you chase that light you up, the more energy you create within yourself, the more excitement you create, the more satisfaction you create, the more energy you create. And it brings life into your soul. So it's important for you not to just focus on one thing. And a lot of my manifesting generators were taught by their parents, why can't you just be happy with that one thing? Well, you're not designed that way. So go after it all. And the other big difference between generators and manifesting generators are that generators are really here to learn things step by step by step. And that's for the most part. There are a few exceptions based on other things that are in your chart, but for the most part, generators are really here to learn step by step. Not so much for the manifesting generators. Manifesting generators are here to like become experts on like efficiency and experts on mastering time. And so if a manifesting generator feels like they have to do things step by step by step, it's going to kill you. Like you're really here to skip steps, you're here to find the shortcuts. You move really fast. I mean, manifesting generators move the fastest of any other type. And many times the rest of us are just kind of thinking about getting started, and the manifesting generators already started, they've already finished, and they're already moving on to the next thing. So they can make your head spin at the speed at which they move. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to follow the steps. I know every teacher in America is probably like, what? Every leader in America is like, what? But your manifesting generators just can't do it that way. So your strategy is also similar to the generators. You're here to wait to respond to things, but you also have an additional strategy, and it's called informing. So it's important that you look for the things that light you up in your life, and then just when it lights you up, go for it. But it's also important to inform the people around you that it is going to affect what you're up to. And I know this feels very unnatural to the manifesting generator. Like it feels like you're having to ask for permission. I pinky promise you, it is not asking for permission. It is informing them of what you're doing so that they can either get out of the way or get on board. And it really does work like magic. I'm going to talk more about that when we get to the manifestors. But your informing allows you the space to like just move at lightning speed, and people will not get in your way. Especially the important people in your life won't get in your way and won't slow you down. Plus, it also helps with your relationships because you do move so fast. People can feel left behind or ignored. And so when you are informing them on what you're doing, it really helps that relationship. You also have the open and inviting aura. So again, you are like a magnet for people and opportunities. So just make sure that the things that other people are asking of you are things that light you up, that you want to do. And if not, super important to say no and decline, because that will protect you, protect your energy, and protect your health. And again, it's not selfish. Manifesting generators have a tendency to want to initiate things, and it's because you do have this channel from your energy center to your throat. And so initiation can look like wanting to tell people what to do, which is initiating and not responding. And it's also can look like forcing things to happen. Like you get lit up by something and you want to just force it and make it to happen. That is also initiating and not responding. And because you have this open and inviting aura, it lands wrong with other people. And so it's best that you just stay open and aware of the things that are coming your way that light you up, rather than forcing things to happen. And it's so funny because we hear this saying all the time, like, make it happen, go make it happen. And you guys, that is only good for manifestors. And manifestors only make up 9% of the population. It is not good for 91% of us. We're not designed to like go make things happen, go kill it. That is not you. And so most of us have been conditioned to like force things and make things happen, but it just doesn't land well for you guys. So here's some tips for manifesting generators. Chase all the rabbits, you guys. Like chase all the rabbits, go after everything that lights you up. Number two, if you find your excitement is waning, it's good for you to stop. And honestly, for manifesting generators, it's okay for you guys to quit on things, because most likely you started something to find something else that would be even better for you. And I do want to give a caveat here, because that is not correct for generators. Generators are not meant to quit on things. They are meant to take a break, go do something else that lights them up, and then come back, because quitting on things can really take your life force energy if you're a generator. But manifesting generators can quit things, because remember, they got a lot of balls in the air. And so sometimes they do need to like quit things to focus their energy somewhere else. So generators, it's not that you're never supposed to like quit, but don't burn the house down. when you do quit, like build what you're going to build next on top of what you're already building. Manifesting generators, it's okay. Burn the house down, go do something else that lights you up because that's the way you're designed. Number 3 for manifesting generators, again, take inventory of the people and things that light you up and surround yourself with those things. Number 4, get comfortable with saying no and setting those boundaries. I think that goes for all of us. And number 5, trust that when you are lit up by life, you're going to attract even more to you that will bring you more satisfaction. So that is your go-to emotion. Just like the generators, satisfaction is your go-to emotion when you know you're on track. And frustration, and because you have the motor to the throat, it can also look like anger, lets you know that you are off track somewhere. And they're not good or bad emotions. Remember that. They are just indicators that you're on track or off track. Okay, that's manifesting generators. How we doing, Chelsea? Good. We're going to talk about Chelsea next. Star projectors. So I love talking about the projectors because you guys are the new kids on the block. This means that you didn't even show up on our planet until 1781, which is relatively new compared to how old our Earth is. So in 1781, the same year that the planet Uranus was discovered, I don't think that is a coincidence. You guys came into being, and you guys are really the natural guides, the natural teachers, advisors, leaders. Not that the other types can't be these things. It's just that projectors are very sensitive to seeing what makes people tick. And you guys have great insights into other people's strengths and weaknesses. And your aura is like penetrating. You can penetrate into other people and see them more clearly than others can. And people feel very seen and recognized by you guys with that aura. And because you guys see so deeply, you're really great at asking just the right questions at just the right time for the most part. So projectors do not have, you can see, they do not have the sacral center, and they do not have a motor to the throat. So there are actually 4 motors in human design. The sacral center is the motor of renewable energy. So projectors do not have this. But this happens to be my husband that you're looking at. He has 3 other motors. And so the heart center is the motor, the emotional center is the motor, and the grounding center is the motor. So he's got all 3 of those motors. And so he has a little bit more energy than most projectors. So the more motors that you have, the more energy you're going to have. But you are not designed to be the consistent doers. You're just not. It's vitally important that you do not push yourself to achieve. However, when you work with your strategy, you can get more done in 2 hours than it takes all the rest of us 8 hours to do. So you can like move really quickly when your energy is lit up. So your strategy is to wait for an invitation. So when you are invited in to share your expertise and your wisdom, and you're excited about the invitation, that's important too, because if you're not excited, it's not time to share. But if you're excited about that invitation, it's in alignment with who you are. That's where you guys get your energy. You get your energy through other people's invitations, inviting you in to share. And so when you are seen for your expertise and you are recognized for what you can do, this is like fuel for your body. It's fuel for you to go in and do your thing, and you'll do your job quickly, and it's masterful. So ideally, you go in, you do your thing for a couple hours, and then you go do something else that you enjoy doing. Now, waiting for these invitations does not mean that you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs while nothing is happening. That's not what it looks like. While you're waiting, you may love doing things that you just enjoy doing. And some of the things that projectors love doing is studying and learning new things, especially things like mastering systems for humanity, like psychology, Enneagram, any modality that helps humanity. And I've seen this in you, Dave. So My projector husband, he is a handyman. And so he's always learning new ways of doing his craft, and bringing his skills to humanity. And he is so energized when he is recognized for the things that he does well. And so you guys are really here to achieve great success, but it is on your own terms. So your go-to emotion is success. When you are feeling successful, you know that you're in alignment. And when you are out of alignment, you can feel this bitterness. And it's bitterness because you're not being seen or recognized for who you are and what you can do for people. So remember, you guys see things that other people don't see. So it's very easy for you to want to share your insights with the world without being invited in. When you do this, what happens is that the people that you're sharing your insights with and you weren't invited in, they will do one of two things. They will either push back on you because they weren't ready to hear it, or they will simply ignore you. And a lot of projectors think, well, my advice must be not right on. Oh yeah, it's 99% on. But because you weren't invited in, you're going to be met with resistance. And so it's not that you're not right on. It's just that you didn't wait for the invitation. And you can organically wait for or ask for that invitation, like, hey, I have an insight on that. Do you want to know? I have a thought on that. Do you want to know? That can really work for you. But if you don't get that invitation back, then you're really just wasting your precious energy here. So wait for the invitation. And when you do, more invitations and more invitations and more invitations start coming your way. It's like magic, you guys. So success for you can be different for everyone. For a lot of you, it's really about the ideal day. A day where you feel a sense of spaciousness and ease, you feel supported by others, and you are able to work on things that you're deeply passionate about, that you deeply value. You have space to nourish yourself with information that you love. You take good care of yourself. You share your gifts with the world. Gosh, I see this in all my projectors. They really are good at taking care of themselves when they allow that space. And that is success for you. So unlike the generators, you do need a good bedtime routine because you don't have that renewable energy. You do need a good 8 hours of sleep and a routine before you go to bed, like going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, even on the weekends is really important for you. Also, getting into bed an hour to a half an hour before you want to fall asleep and doing something relaxing, like reading, meditating, even watching TV. And I know everybody's like, no, you shouldn't watch TV. But for a projector, if that is relaxing to you, it is okay for you to do that after you get in bed. So here's my tips for projectors. Number one, it's not about how many hours you work or how hard you work. It's more about how much you can use your gifts in service to others. So you are not lazy. Your energy just ebbs and flows. And this can be a hard concept because we're so conditioned to work hard. You're designed to work smart, not hard. And if that only means 2 hours a day, so be it. You can get done in 2 hours when you're invited in. Remember, more than somebody can get done in an 8-hour day. Number two, make sure the people in your life recognize and value your gifts and give you the space you need to re-energize, because you do need space and time to be alone in your own energy to recharge. And it's important that you have people that recognize that around you. Number three, recognize the signs of when you need to stop. So you could be like picking up the energy of all the generators around you, and you feel like you can go, 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 and push, 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 and do more, more, more. But if you find yourself pushing against something or pushing yourself to get something done and it's not coming together, that's a good sign that it's time to just stop, walk away. Trust me, when you have that renewed energy the next day, you can get way more done in less time. with a lot less resistance. Number 4, learn to say no, set good boundaries, just like everybody else. Your energy is precious and you need to value it. And then number 5, wait for those invitations before you share your wisdom. This will save you a lot of precious energy, frustration, bitterness. That's your go-to emotion. Okay, so that's our projectors. We're moving on to our manifestors. I think I saw a manifester get on here. So I'm not the only one here. I am a manifester. We do also not have that sacral center defined. This is my chart, by the way. However, we have a motor to the throat. And so I have the heart motor activated, and it's not directly going to the throat. It's going to the splenic center and then up to the throat by another channel. That still works. It could be from the heart center to the throat. It could be the emotional center to the throat. It could be the root center to the throat. Any of those energy centers, if they're connected to the throat, that makes you a manifester. So manifestors, you are the natural disruptors. We're here to disrupt you. We're pioneers, we're the innovators. We're here to have an impact. And we get these creative urges that seem to come out of nowhere. And I just remember my parents going, "How'd you get that idea?" all the time. So our gift is really to bring new ideas and new ways of doing things to life. And we often see, or I would definitely say, I don't see it in my mind's eye. Some manifestors do. I sense things. I sense where the future is going before I even ever understand it. We just sense these things, and we're here to pivot and try new ways of doing things that come from our creative urges. They're not coming as responses from out there. They're literally coming from inside of us. And so it's really important for us to follow our authority, which is our decision-making process. And next month, I'm going to do a webinar on that. So stay tuned for that. But our auras are really dense, and that is for a reason. So people kind of have a hard time seeing into what manifestors are all about. They may feel a little bit like we're an enigma, or they just can't sense who we are, or they sense that we're different. And there's a reason for that, because that allows us time to get our creative urges kind of up and running before other people can interrupt us. So it protects us from our interruptions. This aura that we have, it can be very magnetic or very repelling. And so one of the biggest lessons for us as manifestors is to accept that we are not for everyone. And really none of us are, but it's more true for manifestors. So the less we try and fit in as a manifestor, and the more unapologetic or bold or authentic we are, the more we attract the right people to us. And the more we kind of lean into our gifts, the more of an impact that we have on people. Manifestors, like projectors, do not have consistent energy because we don't have that sacral center filled in. So like projectors, we do need a good bedtime routine, 8 hours of sleep. We get our creative urges when we get good sleep. And when we get those creative urges, that's when the energy follows. So projectors get energy when they're invited in. Generators and manifesting generators get energy when they're responding to something that lights them up. But manifestors get energy when we have this creative urge. And that energy can last until that thing is up and running. So it might be an hour, it might be a day, it might be a month, it could be even a year. And so once that creative urge launches, we crash. We're done. We're tired. And so we're really not meant to carry things consistently into the future. We need those people that we magnetize to us to kind of get on board with us and either take on our creative urges as their own and carry them on into the future, or really help us to keep those creative urges going. And that's why I have Chelsea. That's why I have Robin. That's why I have all these people around me that do things way better than I can ever do them. And they make me look good. And manifestors, we need those people in our lives. Manifestors also thrive when they have a sense of freedom, when they feel free, when they have autonomy, and they have control over their work, their relationships, and their lives. We're not here to be guided or micromanaged. If you do that to a manifestor, don't be surprised if they push back on you or they simply like disappear. I'm sorry. It's just what we do. So it's really good not to like tell them what to do or micromanage them. It just lands wrong on us. And so our strategy is to initiate these creative urges, initiate people, and also inform like the manifesting generator. So we're here to initiate our creative urges when they align with our authority. So I will get these urges and I'll run it. I have splenic authority. I'll run it through my intuition. And if it doesn't like say go, it's a no. So not all creative urges are we to act on. I think that's important to remember. But once we initiate those, then we need to inform those around us who could be impacted by our initiation so that they can either get on board or get out of the way, kind of like the Manny Gen. And again, it's not asking for permission. And this is the really hard part because informing doesn't come naturally to us either. It kind of feels like we're asking for permission, and that feels like micromanaging, but that is not what it is. So when I first started informing and practicing this informing with my husband on the things that I was doing, he became way more supportive and simply kind of like let me do what I needed to do. It was almost like magic. And we kind of have to remember that our strategy is very much related to the energy that we carry in our auras. So with a manifester, we have this energy that just allows us to do things and create things. Where we got in trouble as kids was when we didn't inform our parents what we were up to. And they had to like come find us, and then we would get in trouble, and we would think that we needed to ask for permission, and that's not true. We just needed to inform them on what we do. Informing releases resistance. So when I started informing my husband, it kind of looked like this. We'd be like watching TV, and I would just get up and go into my office, which is very disruptive to people. When manifestors move, we're very disruptful. And he would like follow me in a few minutes later and sit across the desk from me and start talking to me and asking me questions and driving me crazy. And I would get upset because anger is the go-to emotion. I was out of alignment, and that just didn't work. So now when we're watching TV and I need to go do something, I'll say, hey, I'm going to go in my office. I've got some things I need to do for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'll come back and we'll watch that movie. It's like magic. He doesn't come in. He doesn't ask questions. He just lets me do what I need to do. So that works for manifestors. So here's your tips, manifestors. Number one, do not try to fit in or try to people please. It's important for you to be bold and authentic. You're here to make an impact, and your impact is more powerful when you do you. Number two, remember you're here to start new things, but you don't have the energy to do it all by yourself. So it's important to inform others to find who's there to help you. Like, remember, you have this magnetic personality for the right people. And so informing the world what you're doing allows those people to find you, and they can help you so you don't get burned out. To get really good at delegating and asking for people's help is really important for manifestors because we are so independent. People don't think that we need their help, you guys. And they don't tend to offer their help to us because our aura is so dense. They truly don't know what we need. And so we have to learn how to ask for what we need, ask for what we want. That's really important for manifestors. Number three, this is going to sound bizarre, but we need to rest. And I heard we need to rest like 80% of the time. Oh my gosh. So if you get in the habit of like doing and going, you won't get your creative urges. And so it's important for you to rest. And I found this to be really true during COVID. So in 2020, when we were shut down, I took a break because I was exhausted, you guys. And this is when I really learned how manifestor energy works. I took a break and all of a sudden I got these like creative urges to like study human design and study gene keys and like look into all these things. And I didn't realize it was going somewhere at that moment. I just thought it was fun. But this peace came over me and I could tell I wasn't frustrated by life and I wasn't angry anymore. So it really is true. The more we rest, the more we get in alignment with the direction we're supposed to go. Number 4, trust that resting is when your ideas and inspirations come. And number 5, surround yourself with people who celebrate and appreciate your power and honor your we are spontaneous, and provocative and powerful nature. All right, last but not least are reflectors. So reflectors, you are less than 1%. And you look like this. Like they're so rare. They don't have any centers filled in at all. And they don't have any channels connecting their centers together. They are literally wide open. And so our reflectors are gifted as facilitators and evaluators. They are very wise and they are here to pick up on the energy of all the others and the world around them. They like intuitively know what's working and what is not, like what is working in a community, what is working and what's not on a team or in a space or with individuals. And they can see how things can be improved. They're really here to transform the world around them by sharing what they see. So if your team or your organization has a reflector, count yourself as blessed because they really only stay where energy is good and they can make such a difference in your organization. So reflectors are deeply sensitive to other people's energy and they often take it in and feel it themselves. However, they also have the ability to allow like energy to kind of flow through them instead of getting stuck within them. This is called sampling. So when a reflector comes into your space, they literally sample or they literally feel what it feels like to be you. I know that sounds crazy. So if a reflector comes into my aura, they feel what it feels like to be a manifester. Or in your aura, they might feel how it feels to be a projector or a generator. And they also have this crazy thing. They reflect back to you, meaning they're kind of like a mirror to people. You see yourself in a reflector. So, if you are a reflector, this is so important for you to understand because if people like you, it's because you're reflecting them back to you and they like themselves. And if they don't like you, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them because they're reflecting their dislike of themselves back to themselves. I know that sounds crazy, but it really is true. It's so interesting because I do have a reflector in my direct selling organization. And it was so great because every time like a top person in our company would come to town, they'd be like, Stacy, why isn't she like a director or a national director? Like, why isn't she? And it's funny because they were seeing themselves in her. And so they would see her as they are. And so reflectors thrive when they are at the heart of a community or the heart of a team, and they can just like freely move about and do their own thing, kind of assessing what works and what doesn't work. And during transits, they will pick up the energy of that particular transit. So every 6 days, we enter into a new transit where we move into a new gate. There's 64 gates in human design that we move through. It's like when Earth travels around the sun, every 6 days, we enter into new energies. And reflectors are very sensitive to these energies. and they pick up these energies like very clearly. By the way, I do energy updates every 6 days on my Instagram and on YouTube and on TikTok. And so as we move from gate to gate to gate, all of us really pick up on these new energies every 6 days. However, reflectors are the most sensitive to these energies. I also offer free meditations every week to kind of help everybody ground into the new energy that's coming in. And you can find those in the HD Hub, or if you're on my email list, they're in your email basket every 6 days. So check those out as well. It really helps you kind of ground into that energy. So reflectors are sensitive to people and to spaces. And so it's vitally important for them to be in spaces that feel good to them and be around people that feel good to them. And the most important part of that is their health is very affected. So if they're in places that don't feel good, around people that don't feel good, they're not going to feel good either. And over time, it can cause a lot of health issues. It's also good for them to be in their own energy, to regroup away from people in a space that feels good to them. Solitude, where they can kind of disconnect and be in their own energy and kind of reconnect back into themselves, is very good. Their strategy is to wait to be invited in, kind of like a projector, or to wait to be initiated. So reflectors carry so much wisdom and perspective. So to ensure that their wisdom will be valued by others, it's best for them also to be invited in or initiated in to share those gifts. They literally shine. It's so funny watching the gal in my group. She just lights up like a light bulb when I ask her to like share her ideas or thoughts on things. They literally shine when they're invited in, and they see, and when they are seen and appreciated by others. And they're at their best when they save their wisdom for those who recognize how powerful they are. So feeling recognized and appreciated will often let them know that an opportunity is right for them. And a powerful strategy to align with these opportunities is to plant themselves in these spaces and around these people that feel really good to them. So tips for reflectors. The less they feel that they need to put a label on who they are and what they are capable of doing, the more full of surprise and magic that their life will be. So surprise is their go-to emotion. And I love watching this gal because her face just lights up. Like you can tell when she's in alignment. She's just like so excited, so surprised and delighted by life. And in the shadow, they feel disappointment. That is telling them that they're out of alignment. Number 2, for reflectors, make sure you surround yourself with people and places that feel good. Number 3, make sure you're getting adequate rest and time alone, just like the projectors and the manifestors. Really good for them to get 8 hours of sleep, have a regular bedtime, get in bed before they want to fall asleep to unwind. Number 4, no need to rush anything. This is so important, reflectors. No need to rush anything. It is way more important that you find your flow. And number 5, your flow revolves around the lunar cycle. So every 28 days when we transit around, the moon transits around the earth, you're going to feel all the different feels, all the different perspectives, which bring you clarity. And you literally feel all the feels in those 28 days. So one day you may feel like a reflector. One day you might feel like a manifestor. One day you might feel like a generator. You're going to feel all the types, which brings you such clarity. And so if I was going through this and you're listening today as a reflector and you heard me describe a generator, you're probably like, I feel like that sometimes. Well, you do. You feel like all the types. And you don't even know this, which I think is so interesting. You've been this way since birth. So you feel what it feels like to be all of us as a reflector, which I think is so cool. All right, I'm going to stop my share here. And we're going to do a little bit of Q&A here in just a few seconds. But I'd also love to share with you ways that you can dive deeper into your human design if you're curious. Like if you got all done today and you're like, Wow, that's a lot. This is a lot, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And so, if you would like some more support in aligning with who you are, I do offer some different programs. I offer an elemental blueprint, which is really cool, just like diving into your specific design. It's an hour long. I like doing them on Zoom because they're recorded and you can watch them over and over and over again. I also, oh, I meant to share this with you guys. I also share one other thing. So see these numbers on the side? These are your gates. And we all have 32 gates, or I take that back, sorry. We have, I don't even remember. How many do we have, Chelsea? 44. There's 64
64.
gates altogether, but in your profile, you have this many, however many that is. And so each gate is in a very specific place. Like this one right here is a person's life's work. This one here is what you're here to learn. And so I also offer one-on-one appointments to dive deeper into your gates to really understand who you are at a very deep level. We have a shadow to each gate that we're born with. And then we have a gift that comes out of that shadow. So it's really important not to like get hard on yourself when you're like feeling stuck in life, because it's really, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And when you really start to understand your gates and the shadows and the gifts that come out of it, it's life changing. It's life changing. I also offer group sessions. I love my deconditioning Zooms. I'm starting a new one later this month, and I limit them to no more than 10 people, but they're very powerful. So we go through deconditioning based on type, based on your centers that are filled in or not filled in, your gates that are activated or not activated. It's amazing the energy that we pick up. Chelsea, I know you've been on that. Oh yeah, so Carline is also Chelsea's assistant. Thank you, Carline. She's dropping in different like codes that you can click on if you want more information on those. But Chelsea, you've been a part of both of these. Do you want to share?
Yeah. So I've gotten to be a part of a lot of your things, which I've gotten to be a part of all of them all at once, which is very me and I love it. Um, so the deconditioning Zooms, I loved those because I was doing one-on-one appointments with you as I was doing the deconditioning Zooms. And in the one-on-one, I felt like we were doing this deep dive where I was getting to understand myself, what was best for me. And what I can tell you is no one else in the world knew that I was doing it, but everyone else in my world kept saying, "Oh my gosh, what's going on with you? You're changing so much." Which really was all of a sudden, I was just really settling in myself and I knew itty bitty little tweaks in my day how to be the most peaceful version of myself. But in the deconditioning Zooms, you're there with a group of people. And I'll just say we had a ridiculous amount of fun in mine. I felt like we had the best group. We had so much fun together because we would get to see each other's charts. We all had our family's charts like spread all over our desk. And Stacy would be going through different tips every single month. And we're like messaging in the comments, like, oh my gosh, that's my mom. Oh my gosh, that's my husband. Oh my gosh, that's my son. And learning from each other definitely who we are not, right? And who they are. But I felt like also by learning who I wasn't and how these other people had these crazy gifts, it was also helping me own my own gifts. Going like, okay, I know she keeps telling me that I have this thing that makes me so cool and special, but like whatever, because we don't own our own gifts very well. And so the deconditioning Zoom was really solidifying how unique my stuff was because you're learning about other people and you're like, okay, that is absolutely not me. And then I'm I'm gonna plug the hub, the HD hub, which Carline already posted the thing for. Also, it gave me the permission to have Carline. Let's be real.
That's
Like it
true.
gave me the permission to go just because I can doesn't mean I should as a projector, like, learning like when I start making mistakes, that's when I need to stop. So then getting to hire someone that just helps me be a 10 at life is so cool. But the HD hub, it basically gives you this access to all the tools that help you fast track your human design growth. Tools to specific gates, tools to specific meditations. So that's also now, I think that's taken my human design journey really next level. And you didn't ask me this, but can I share why I love your career by design?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
As she was going through this, she does have this like extra special thing called Career by Design. And when we did that, it's where she looks at your profile from this holistic view, from facts and statistics, but also just from it's like this 7 years of wisdom that she has about this. It allows her to just look at it in a way that normal people can't look at it and tell you what is and isn't good for you from a career standpoint. And that was like the quickest permission for me to then launch my podcast. Like, I don't know if I would have ever so securely said, oh my gosh, I'm absolutely wired for this. I would be crazy not to do it than what you did. That gift, like you definitely, it was such a gift that you gave to me when with doing that. And then I don't know, just knowing I'm a projector, knowing Carline's a projector, so
Mhm.
quickly we knew that about her. And so I never once expected her to like grind for 8 hours a day for me, ever.
Mhm.
Never expected that. I'm like, you need to break it up, like work in the chunks that you need to. If you're tired, if you're bored, like go for a walk, go for a nap. I don't really care what you do. And so I think that you set us up for such a beautiful working relationship because of that. So
Oh, thank you so much, Chelsea, for that. Yeah. So lucky. Yeah, so that HD Hub, that's a really great example of a creative urge. Like I had no idea why I wanted to do this. It was just like one of those things. It's like build it and they will come kind of a thing. I feel like that guy was a manifestor too, because you in the middle of it, you feel like this is crazy. Why am I doing this? Why am I spending so much time on this? Like, what is this for? But it was that creative urge. It's taking all the things that in my 40 years in direct selling, the tools I had, and combining that with what I've learned from human design and giving people tools, meditation tools, and like overcoming tools, and just tools to help you move from the shadow of your gates to the gift of your gates. Like I'm so excited right now because I'm putting out it's called PHS, Primary Health System, and it's how we're designed to eat. Like there's like 12 different ways we're supposed to eat. And when we eat in alignment, it's so healthy for us. And I even have like a couple of ideas on it's not so much what you eat, it's how you eat what you eat that makes the biggest difference. So that information's in there. I'm getting ready to build out like how you best market, how you best parent, like all those things. All these creative urges are coming, and they're coming fast and furious. And I've had so much energy to get it all done. So those are some of my offers. So questions, any questions that we haven't answered in the comments, or any questions that you guys have about anything?
I don't see any questions in the comments yet. If you guys have questions or if you'd like to unmute right now, I'm also going to say, I didn't think about this until I stopped talking. What you've done, my husband has also had a reading as well with Stacy, and how he needs to make his best decision. My best decision is instant, and his is not. It's like being in the right place with the right people at the right time to like talk it out. And well, honestly, like I think I was very frustrated consistently by his lack of ability to just make a decision. It could be what's for dinner, or it could be a career change. And you not only released obviously frustration for me, but you've given him so much permission on how he finds his best yes in his life. So that's also been fun. So I don't see any that have dropped in so far. Is there anybody else that you can just unmute right now?
I'll come
Ask.
off mute.
Oh yeah.
I have a question for you. So you're talking about projectors, you're talking about motors. Okay, so I'll just hold this up. If you can see that.
I know you're you have no motors.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
It just means it's important for you to only do things like maybe 2 hours at a time, take a rest. It's really good for you to rest. It's okay for you to take naps even in the middle of the day. Or just get out of the energy of other people, like be by yourself to regroup and get things going for yourself. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes sense. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. There's a lot in the, even just in the reading the profile before I came on the Zoom here today. I was like, oh, right, because I couldn't find the printout that you had given me before.
Mhm.
And so going through and doing the new profile and then just reading through going, yep, that kind of like a lot of it is my experience validates what I'm reading on the
Mhm.
paper. So yeah, even like the invitation, the thing about bitterness, if I'm, that's, yep.
Yeah.
Um,
We all see it in ourselves when we hear it.
yeah.
Like we all see it in ourselves, and we're all so different. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Anybody else?
Margaret had said, I'm going to get myself scheduled and then the rest of my family. I thought, oh, I remember we were on a family vacation and we were basically texting and having a conversation with Stacy Faust about my brother, my baby brother, his wife, and their two kids in the car as we were learning and driving all over Arizona. And my niece is like something super special. So I think we all felt relieved that it's like she just is special, but also like, oh boy, she's special.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. Any
Well,
other? Margaret does have a question. Does your
okay.
birth time significantly affect what type you are? Because can we talk about that? Like, so if
Oh,
you really truly cannot find your birth time, what do you suggest doing? Or if you can't, how could you try to?
yeah. Birth time may or may not affect your type because your type is pretty, it goes for hours and sometimes days. Um, but when you get to your variables, how you're designed to eat, environment, things like that, it can be minute to minute. That can make a big change. So if you're not sure of your time, generally it's on your birth certificate, but if it's not on your birth certificate, you can reach out to the county seat of where you were born and get an actual birth certificate with your time on it.
Mhm,
And that usually only takes about a week. So
mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's records, birth records in the courthouse of your county you were born in.
Mhm.
Okay.
Some of us have really crazy times, and our parents,
Mhm.
you know, the
Yeah,
crazy.
I have another one if you got
Mhm.
time. Okay, so one of the things that you said that piqued my interest had to do with the resistance. And the question that I had is the resistance I see in others actually originating in me?
Mm. So if you mean when you're not waiting for the invitation?
Right.
Yes. So as a coach, because I know you coach, just them coming to you is an invitation.
Mhm.
But it's still good to say, hey, I have a thought on that. Can I share that with you? If you feel any resistance at all. And energetically, you can feel if there's still resistance or not because you're a projector and you feel energy like that. So if there's still resistance, you can say, you know what, we'll table that. We can talk about it later, or it's okay. I may be, and I would just take the blame. Like I may be off on that. That's okay. Even though you're not, because you're a projector. Um, but the resistance does come from you not opening the channel between you and them, not waiting for that invitation or not asking for that invitation. That resistance is there because of that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. So, a way to facilitate that, like say with a client,
Mhm.
it's different. There's two different relationships. One would be like a professional relationship, like with a client, and another would be with a personal relationship, like
Mhm.
with a friend or family member.
Mhm.
Um,
Those are the hardest.
yeah, because they weren't necessarily asking for my wisdom and insight.
Exactly.
And approaching someone when I see a glaring blind spot in their life, is often unwelcome. And I totally get that because I also see that when people approach me with unsolicited advice, and don't ask permission to share it, then that can be problematic. And so I understand that mechanism.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I have used can I have permission to coach you, even when I'm on the phone with somebody and they relay, I did this, I got this result, I'm not sure what to do. Can I have permission to coach you for a minute?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then yes, because that
Okay.
they've set the condition, I've asked permission, they open the gate. And so that's a mechanism I'm used to. Is it still a good idea? I mean, I guess I'm imagining the answer is yes. But in those family member situations when you're seeing the glaring blind spot
Mhm.
and still asking, is there a different way to ask that question, to ask for permission? Would you be open to, can I coach you? Can I ask you a question?
I have a thought on that. Could I like share my thought with you?
Yeah,
Or, are you open to another way of looking at things? Or like anything like that? And if it's been going on a while, Dave, I'm just gonna like share with you that you may need to just stop altogether for a while until they come and ask you, because it's like that cocoon thing. It's like
yeah.
helping a butterfly get out of a cocoon. Sometimes they do need to figure it out for themselves. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I know. It's hard.
Very, very fine line.
Yeah, very fine line.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Can you piggyback on that and just answer? Remember when I said to you, why do I tend to create explosions in my friendships? Like, and the answer about as a projector, like how I would, you voice it so much better than I do, but
I think we were talking about like, when things would explode in your friendships, it's because you see things and you're sharing your advice and your insights and all of that. But when people aren't ready, or when that connection between you haven't been invited in, it lands wrong. And it's because of your aura, you guys. It's always because of that. Your aura is very penetrating, and people know that you see them deeply. And that can feel very uncomfortable to someone because they know you're right. I mean, they know you're right. And that's why you're being met with resistance, or you're being met with them ignoring you because it feels so uncomfortable to them. That's what's happening.
yeah. So I would basically like see them naked, call out the stuff that I saw them naked about. They were like, I don't even know how you see this. I don't want to see it. And I definitely don't want you to see it. And then they would get mad. And then I would be like, I'm just trying to help you. And then, but
Yep.
Stacy helped me work through that. So I formerly create explosions in my friendships or wildfire in my family.
Yes. That's great.
Yeah, any other thoughts or questions, anybody? I know Margaret said, thank you so much, Stacy.
Thank you, Margaret.
I think we're good. Renee, did you have anything? Carline's daughter is a generator, so she learned why she's always tired as a projector mom, and Izzy is not.
We're two non-energy types raising energy types. Oh my gosh, you guys. If I would have known this, oh my gosh. But I want to just thank you guys for joining me today. And I hope you'll join me back next month when we talk about authority, or get in touch with me if you want to dig deeper. But you guys have an amazing month. Bye, everyone. Thank you.